Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. So in today's video, we are going to be talking about the match between PSG and FC Barcelona. Barcelona have lost against PSG at home 2-1. In this video, I'm going to give you guys a overview of this game, then talk about the tactical breakdown on how PSG defeated FC Barcelona, and then lastly, I'm going to give you guys my individual notes and some things that I do want to call out. Now, before I do even start this video, I know that a lot of you guys might be a little down, you guys might be a little frustrated, maybe confused, trying to understand why Barcelona could not defeat PSG in this game, even though we started off very well. I want us to really look at the bright side because this season is going to be very long. Last season, and to be more specific, in the beginning of the season, in our first Champions League match, we lost to Monaco 2-1. In that same month, during a league match, we lost to Osasuna 4-2, and then in November, we lost to Real Sociedad 1-0, tied against Celta Vigo 2-2, all within the first 3 to 4 months of the season. But later in that season, we went on to win the domestic treble. So the season is very long, and at the very least, Barcelona got this loss very early in the season. And I think that we can learn a lot from this match, trying to understand what mistakes did we do that made us lose the 3 points and to climb up higher in the rankings of the Champions League. So to lose to PSG 2-1 is not that big of a deal, knowing that PSG are the previous Champions League winners. I really do think that in the end we fought well, but Barcelona could have done much better. And let me explain. The High Line punished Barcelona twice. On the 19th minute, Barcelona had a bright start. We had a brilliant team move, ended with Ferran Torres finishing off a Marcus Rashford assist, continuing this strong attacking pattern that has been made between Ferran and Marcus Rashford. I believe that their chemistry is really getting strong. Marcus Rashford yet again has another assist in his game. Lamine Yamal was also electric early in the game. Like within the first minute, he went through 5 different PSG defenders. He also made a perfect through ball to Ferran Torres, but eventually got denied by a world-class block from the PSG goalkeeper. And Lamine Yamal was making those passes over and over again, making those passes to open space so Ferran Torres can run into. Moments later, we saw Vitinha's misplaced pass get intercepted that launched the move for Ferran Torres' goal. It was all because Lamine Yamal was punishing the defense of PSG and Barcelona were gaining momentum. However, PSG had a response. On the 38th minute, Mayulu did score a goal after we saw Nuno Mendes go through 3 or 4 different Barcelona players and assisted the first goal. Now, if you look back at that goal that PSG scored, you can see that Lamine Yamal was still walking near halfway, leaving Mendes very free, and Flick did warn before the game that Lamine Yamal would need to track back because going forward for Nuno Mendes is part of his job. And that is why just before halftime, we saw Lamine Yamal press much better, forcing Nuno Mendes into a foul and also a yellow card. So that duel between Mendes and Yamal tonight, it was like really on fire. You can truly tell that they were probably reading the headlines and what the people were saying. So as we got into the second half, we knew that Barcelona needed to make some changes because Barcelona's game was not 100% correct. And so Barcelona pushed, but they lacked a lot of control. Hakimi cleared a Dani Olmo shot off the line. We saw another opportunity for PSG where Lee Kang hit the post, but ultimately, after PSG gaining more control of the ball, by the 90th minute or 91st minute, we saw Hakimi exploit space behind Barcelona's high line to find Gonçalo Ramos very easy on the other side and put the ball behind the net, making it 2-1 for PSG. It was very easy for Hakimi and also very easy for Nuno Mendes in the end, which does lead me towards the tactical breakdown because Barcelona did struggle versus PSG's man-to-man press. They could not build rhythm, and especially in the second half, and they got dragged into physical duels. Hence the reason why there were so many moments in the game where Dani Olmo had to go on a 1v1 duel versus a certain player against PSG. Dani Olmo lost all of those physical duels. He is just not strong enough. And I've talked about this before. Like, yes, Dani Olmo, football-wise, is good, but he does struggle physically, making him not the most ideal number 10 that Barcelona could have. And Luis Enrique knew that. It's like, bro, like the way that Luis Enrique reads games and who he's going to be playing, it's world class. Like, he's like, okay, fine, I know who's not going to play. That's the least we could worry about for this game. It's going to be Eric García and Barça at the back, but the one player that we could get to and really get that weakness, it is through Dani Olmo. If we force physical duels, Dani Olmo will lose the ball and we can go on and counter. It's world class thinking from Luis Enrique. So PSG's structure was also elite, by the way. Like the fact that Hakimi and Mendes just kept going up and down over and over again, they're cheat codes. They both pressed relentlessly. They defended like demons and bombed forward with a lot of pace, which is why Hakimi and Mendes just kept going over Barcelona's left and right flank until like the 91st minute. They never stopped. And when I look at these two fullbacks like Mendes and Hakimi, I just really wished that Barcelona also had the exact same thing. Unfortunately, on Barcelona's right side, in terms of our fullback, which is Jules Koundé, he did not have his best game. I felt like he was very lazy, like he wasn't very well aware of what was going on, very little to do in the final third when compared to Hakimi and Mendes. this. So PSG's midfield trio of Emery, Fabian, and Vitinha controlled the game by pressing, recycling, and stretching the play. The reason why PSG did stretch the play and why they became very wide is because that forced the 1v1 physical duels. It's one of the traps that PSG had, and that is what led towards Barcelona spending a long time chasing the ball because they kept losing those physical duels. So phase one was regain the ball through Vitinha or Fabian or Emery, and once they regained the ball, they stretched the pitch with the ball, leaving Barcelona forced to go on those 1v1 physical duels to try and get the ball back. But sometimes PSG did win those duels and they could not get outbodied. And here's the worst thing: when Barcelona got stretched out, PSG created 1v1 matchups everywhere on the pitch. It was all about 1v1 matchups and killing those long possession phases. And I believe that Barcelona really got fed up because you know that Barcelona want to get the ball as fast as possible. We know their pressing system, and so I think that in this game specifically, it required much more patience and more precision, and it really did show. So now I do want to go to my individual notes, and I'm going to be tying it back to the midfield and how PSG controlled the middle of the pitch, because in those last 20 minutes, you know what made it even worse? It was the fact that Hansi Flick chose to take out Pedri. Now, I understand that Pedri was fatigued, he was probably tired. I mean, like, before this match, Pedri did also play another 90-minute match against the Real Sociedad, but for sure, Barcelona weakened a lot in those last 20 minutes, and that's why we saw PSG with a lot of attacking momentum, as you can see here on the picture. Barcelona were being tossed around. Like, PSG won the second half and they won it well, but in those last 20 minutes, PSG destroyed that second half, annihilated FC Barcelona in all realms. And in those last 20 minutes, Barcelona ended up with a midfield of Frenkie, Bernal, and Casado. That is a midfield that just does not make any sense to me. A midfield that cannot win you a lot, because Bernal was not 110% there. He just wasn't. I'm sorry. Casado was not going to give you anything as a number 10, and Frenkie was left by himself, leaving Barcelona just destroyed. And I understand that Pedri is very important, but what it also showed is that Barcelona did also miss Fermín Lopez and Gavi. If Fermín Lopez started as a number 10 from the very beginning, we probably would have ended with more goals, because there was also many moments where Dani Olmo could have scored but did not put the ball behind the net. Fermín would have buried that easily, and I think that Fermín and Gavi would have given you that energy and that fighting energy that Barcelona needed in the midfield. Bernal, Casado, and Frenkie did not win a single thing in those last 20 minutes. We needed that substitution of saying, okay, Pedri out, Fermín in. Okay, we have Olmo out, put Gavi in. No problem. So Barcelona really did miss on a lot. Once again, Pedri worked overtime, sweeping up plays, keeping composure, but he still needs great partners around him to get the best out of him. Pedri ended this game with a 95% pass accuracy, 2 chances created, 2 successful dribbles, 2 tackles were won, 3 recoveries, and 9 ground duels were won. I also want to shout out to Eric García and Gerard Martin. They were both colossal. Great in terms of anticipation, great in terms of covering, great in terms of defending in depth. It was their best Barca performance in a very long time. Gerard Martin really did surprise me the most, because you know how I did say that Barcelona physically, when they were trying to go on those physical duels, Barcelona were weak, right? Gerard Martin was not one of them. Gerard Martin was up there, really tapping on Hakimi and Mbaye and also Emery. And every time Gerard Martin did regain the ball, he was very successful. He was also the most accurate passer, by the way, with a 100% completion rate. As for Eric Garcia, 7 defensive contributions, 76 touches, 1 out of 1 successful dribbles, 6 out of 10 accurate long balls, 2 out of 2 tackles were won, 4 clearances, 5 recoveries, and 2 out of 2 aerial duels were won. So, like I've said, this was not the best game for FC Barcelona. We could have been much better because we did not give it our all in the second half. Yes, the injuries also played a part, but this cannot continue to be our excuse. Whatever we have is whatever we have, and these players need to be maximized. And I believe that in the end, PSG did deserve to win. They did. That is why they won the Champions League last season, is because this is a team that knows themselves. They know their strengths. They know how to read the opposition well. And that is why we saw Vitinha win the second half of this game and not Pedri. This is why we saw Nuno Mendes and Hakimi outrun, outwork, outpress all of our players, going up and down relentlessly. So there is a lot of mistakes, a lot of weaknesses that we have to assess before we go into the second half of the season, which will be coming up in about 2 or 3 months. And that second half of the season is where it gets very, very important. And those weaknesses do have to be minimized. The faster we can get our players to 100% fitness, the better. But that is it. That is going to be wrapping up today's video. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you guys in the next one.